What's up, guys? Welcome to the Behind the Golf Brand podcast. This week, I have my good friend Greg Sabella from Uneekor. I'm really excited to talk about what's going on at Uneekor. They have a lot of new products coming out this year, including the new iMini, which is their foray in the smaller portable launch monitors. So it'd be really cool to find out what's happening at Uneekor, talking about Greg's career, because he's been in a lot of cool places. And I actually learned a lot of the stuff even before the show that I didn't even know what Uneekor is even doing. So welcome to the show.
Thanks, Paul. I appreciate you having me.
So where are you located right now?
So I am in Carlsbad, California, kind of the golf capital of the United States, if you will, surrounded by all of the major OEMs, all the component companies. And I'm actually sitting in the Even Roll office right now, Even Roll Putters, which is a company that Uneekor acquired about 2 months ago. And just great synergy with our brand, high-tech engineering and patented technologies, and a great mind and leader in Garen Reif, who I've gotten to know really well. And so I spend a couple days a week here and then a few days a week in our Irvine office, which is about 40 minutes from here. So it's a good setup.
So do you live in Carlsbad then?
I do. I live about 2.5 miles from this office.
Oh, perfect.
So it's a nice, beautiful commute.
Well, it's a nice drive even to the Irvine office, right? Because just going up the coast, and it's not that bad.
No, like well, today it was. I was supposed to head in today, and I threw on my navigation, and there was an accident on 5 in Camp Pendleton that was going to take me 2 hours. So I quickly did a U-turn.
Because you can't get off. Like once you're like by Camp Pendleton, you really can't get off the freeway. Like you're
literally
like,
stuck.
In the thing. Yeah. I was just there a month ago. Like I went up to LA and was in Redondo Beach with Minimal. And then we drove down to San Diego and spent like a couple of days in San Diego and hung out there down the
nice.
And hung out with like Sunday golf bags. They're in San Diego. We hung out with them. So I love
next time you're in town, you got to swing through here and we'll go play.
I have to.
9 holes.
Love that.
Test out product.
I'll have to do that all day long. That's cool. I didn't know that. So you've had a very storied career. Greg's been a lot of cool places. This is what I love about having the show is to talk about like kind of like how you got into the industry. So like, are you a professional golfer or like what's your story? How'd you get into golf?
No, I've been very fortunate to be in the golf business for a long time. My story was I was an avid golfer growing up, played high school golf, played 2 years at San Diego State. Nice. Realized that I was not going to be a pro. I could be a competitive amateur, but that's kind of where the skill set waned. But still an avid player, play a lot of golf, and joined Callaway at a young age and did a bunch of really cool jobs there. I was able to work with Ely.
So did you start at Callaway like right after college? Like right?
Kind of. I worked a little bit of golf retail, which I was enjoying, and then there was some craziness that was happening at the corporation I was working for, and I kind of went home one night and put together a really small resume and sent it to Ely Callaway, Gary Adams.
What year was this?
And just said, hey,
like 80
this
something?
was in
90?
1996.
That's awesome.
And just said, hey, here's who I am. I'd love to come work for your brand. And I got a call back from Callaway a week later and was interviewing. And 3 weeks after that, I was driving to Carlsbad and starting at Callaway. So it was
and that's like right when Callaway was like blowing up, right? Because that was like right when Warbird was coming out and like
it was we had Great Big Bertha out. We introduced Biggest Big Bertha, and I did a lot of custom fitting at the test center. So I got to work with tour professionals and VIPs and test a bunch of product. And then I moved into sales and product management and marketing for Metalwoods, for Odyssey, the putter side of the business, and left there after a 17-year fun run. I learned a lot of stuff, met some great people, and kind of fell in love with the industry.
So you've probably seen a lot of cool technology in the last 25 years,
Yeah, I've seen some stuff that we thought was going to work and didn't work. I saw a lot of things that were
like what? I want to know what
it's time.
What did people think was going to work and didn't work? I want to know.
Oh man, I say at Callaway, there was a product that was 100% or 98% carbon composite. And it worked for a certain segment of the market, slower swing speeds, people who needed spin. It didn't work great for tour or higher swing speed players because it spun a lot.
Too much
And
spin.
back then, it was harder to engineer sound, and it was quiet, and people like to
Want to hear
hear
it? Yeah, they do.
when they hit a driver. So that was one. But composite technology at that company was way ahead of the game because it's a great way to make a driver, and they were doing it years ago.
My very first in 2000, I think. No, what year was that? 97. My dad bought me. I got used, of course, but I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. I got like a great Big Bertha. I still have it, and it's like in a corner, and it's like I remember like there was nothing like that back then. That was it. There was like the wooden woods, and that was about it.
Yeah, no, that was a game changer for sure for the industry.
For sure. So then you were at Callaway for 17 years, and then where'd you go after that?
I did ran marketing for Superstroke, a grip
Did
company
you
on the
really?
component side. Yep,
I didn't know
and
that. That's
that
crazy.
was a great learning experience to be on the kind of component side of the business versus the manufacturing or OEM club side of the business. Um, and then after that, I was at Blast Motion for the last 5 years on the tech side of the business, running sports marketing and then specifically the golf business for Blast.
So, I mean, you probably saw a lot of growth at Superstroke too, because they're huge now, right? I mean, that was like what,
Yeah, I
like
mean
10 years
it's
ago you
you
started?
know
Like,
they uh, they were big when I got there and fortunately bigger when I left. But yeah, interesting technology that was taking kind of the tour by storm, and still does a great job of producing great products and
and
a
they're
lot
based
of
out of
product in play.
Michigan, right?
Yeah, the home office is actually in Michigan, and I was working remotely out here in Carlsbad. We had an office set up here.
That's cool. And then Blast Motion. So tell people what Blast Motion is, because I don't know if everybody knows. I mean, I know what it is, but what's Blast Motion?
Yeah, so Blast Motion makes a motion capture sensor that goes on the end of a club and captures in 3D everything that club is doing, whether it's a
Crazy.
driver, an iron, short game, or a putter. One sensor that moves from club to club for training, and it's a great product. It really strong in short game and putting. Measures 14 different metrics, reports it through an app. They also do baseball and softball if you play other sports, but yeah, was running the golf business for them, kind of transitioning from a B to B focus, going after coaches, to a B to C mindset, and really getting into the hands of consumers who want to practice at home and get better.
Do you feel that like in? Do you think like a lot of brands are stuck in trying to do B2B, but like to coaches? I feel like a lot of brands think that going after a coach or getting coaches to buy the product probably the wrong. I know it's part of the marketing plan, right? Like if the coach does it and then he tells the guy to use it, then the guy will buy it, right, or something like that. But do you feel like that is a good thing to do or not really? Being
I
in
think you
sales,
you certainly have to get the trust of the coaches and the instructors and the teachers out there. At
yeah,
the end of the day, in my opinion, every one of those golf instructors loves golf. And so they're going to view the product through the eyes of a golfer first and how they would use it, and
yeah.
then how they would use it with their students. I just, I don't know a whole lot of golf pros that don't love the game and love to play golf. So I think the messaging is pretty similar in terms of the benefits of the product. And then the deeper conversation with instructors and club professionals is how they can use it to help their players get better, or how they can use it to run their business more efficiently or do their lessons more efficiently, right? Time is extremely valuable. Golf professionals are on the tee, on the range a lot. And if we can help make their lessons more efficient and help their players improve faster, it's better for everybody.
Yeah, I think a lot of brands. I think the hard part is Well, I think in the last couple of years, maybe is that like you at least on video on YouTube and stuff like that. Like you have a lot of pros that are well recognized now at this point. So I think those are the perfect people to sell it because they're using it. And I know a lot of people have been successful. I know a lot of brands have been successful using a coach to show off their product, and the coach is like it's a win-win, right? Because the guy's making videos on whatever the training aid is, and then he's selling a ton of them on an affiliate deal, right, or whatever.
Well, and it's trust, right? It's
Yeah,
that
you trust the guy. Yeah, exactly
play,
right.
players look to club professionals as experts, as they should, and so you get a trust factor there. If they trust it, they're not going to turn around and sell their members a piece of junk or promote
Exactly
something that they
right.
don't believe in. So yeah, it's a channel. It's for real. There are a lot of them out there and some great ones, and so you have to be appealing to those club professionals and instructors. You just can't only sell to club professionals and instructors.
But I mean, like 20 years ago, that was that was really the only way to doing it, right? Like that's
There
just
was
selling
really
your
no direct to consumer channel, right? Everything went through your
a
golf shop
store,
and then
right? It was either going through a store
offshore
or it was going
resale.
through who's going to sell it. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I think training aids is a very interesting area, and we'll move into tech in a second. Just because I think like everyone's trying to get better, and I think that like if you can find a product that, especially in tech, that will make you better with the quickest amount of time without having to buy a whole new set of clubs or something like that, I think people will buy that all day long, and it's affordable.
Yeah,
Um,
and if people are willing to experiment with training aids because the price points are typically a little bit lower, and if you find something that works, then it works. It's not going to work for nothing works for everybody, but you can find something that works for you, or find a coach on whatever channel, whether it's YouTube or in person or Instagram, that
paid
you
or
click
yeah.
with, and that's who you end at. You should just stay consistent with that. So find who relates to you well, or you relate to them well, and go with it.
So when did you start at Uneekor? I guess like tell everybody what is your title or what do you do at Uneekor?
So I'm the vice president of marketing at Uneekor. I started about 45 days ago, somewhere in that time range. So I'm still, taking everything in, um, learning about the company's roots. And I love technology. I love the R&D side of the golf business in general. So I kind of pride myself on trying to be a fast learner in that department and get up to speed with everything. So I feel like, my first month there was really learning about everything and everybody. And that was a really fast 30 days, but I gained a lot of knowledge in those 30 days. And now we're trying to put together a plan to communicate that to the golfing public so they know what we do, how it can work for them, and kind of tell our story.
I mean, my experience with Uneekor was like a year and a half ago. My buddy bought, I think he bought 2 units. I think he bought it's for his club. So he bought, I'm not sure which one. It must have been the IXO or maybe it was the
Mhm.
QED. I don't know, one of the
One of the
two. Which one?
overheads.
Yeah, and I was like super impressed, like right away, because I was like, even the camera mode, like, I've seen a lot of sims, I've been in a lot of sims, but I was really impressed. I'd never seen Uneekor. It's about a year ago, because you had the camera and like on the screen after you hit the ball, it would show like the club face that it was going through, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like I
Yeah,
haven't
so
seen that.
that's a huge differentiator for us, right? Is a real-time impact camera. So you see your
And it
club
shows
coming
you
into
on the
the
screen,
impact.
which is like, whoa.
Yeah, that's when I had heard of the brand before I started here, obviously, that's the feature that made me say, wow, that's different than the other things that are out there.
Yeah, and like because nobody was really doing that. Like I've been in like was it True Flight? Yeah, True Flight sim, and they don't have that. So um but then like what's the story with Uneekor? So they're from Korea, right? How big are they?
So the parent company's in Korea. The parent company is called Creates, like creates with a Z. And they are the engineering firm who recruits and hires and works with all of the best engineers in the area. So they are the developers of the product. They have a golf division called QED, and we are the US version of that golf division called Uneekor. So QED in Korea is dominant. They dominate the overhead launch monitor market. The Mini launched over there as well. They also have suites of practice studios. They have ranges. They're a much more established golf brand in that market than we are here. The benefit of that happening is we've learned a lot from what they've done over there, and we have the kind of engineering pounds behind us with creates to help take our feedback and define what we need for this market and make it happen. So that's the parent company is in Korea. We are the US version of their QED, or US version. And we've been here for, company started in the US in about 2019 and launched at the PGA show to some pretty incredible fanfare. I've been to 20 something PGA shows. I ironically wasn't at that one, but followed along and read all the news. And I kept reading about this new US simulator company that was kind of taking the show by storm. So it was a great intro for them. Company grew very fast in the next few years, and we're trying to build on that momentum.
So who is Uneekor's like biggest competitors right now?
It's a good question. I would say, with Mini, it's the current launch monitors that are out there. So I don't want to give them any free press, but there's one that's used on the tour. There's another one that has an orange radar-based system.
They're also very expensive, by the way. They're also very expensive. So let's just say what they are. So the GC Quad, right? So that's like 15 to 20 grand, right? So like, okay, yeah, you can have that, but you have 15 to 20 grand to buy it. Now I'm saying this is like the GC Quad is pretty damn accurate. I mean, it's like industry standard, right? But like the cool thing about the Mini, we'll talk about in a second, is like the price point is like a third of that, which is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, what we're delivering at that price point is sensational, right? The Mini itself is a 2-camera based system with infrared. You don't need to mark the golf balls. It captures 14 different dynamics to a degree of accuracy that we'll put up against anybody. I don't care how many cameras you have. You can putt with it.
Shut up, really?
Yeah, you can measure launch angle, you can measure spin and side angle. And we're working on some updates to the app, the View app, which is an iPad app, to help display that in a more consistent manner. But yeah, you can absolutely move it over to the putting green or short game area, any club in your bag, really. And, we're extremely proud of the performance of it. And yeah, I mean, we're going after the market and saying, hey, if you want to get in the launch monitor game with a product that is tour caliber at a price point that's more digestible than some of our competitors, we are the choice.
Yeah, so this is what I think about. This is my opinion. I don't have the iMini yet. I know I'll be getting one, but like this is my opinion. I think it's priced right? So the iMini is like $4,500, and for what you get at that price point, it blows my mind. And what I love about it, without even trying it yet, is that like it's right where you're standing. It's a side-by unit. It's not behind you, which is a huge pain in the ass, especially with a simulator. I know like people can use like like there's certain brands you can buy that go behind you that are really good, but like that means you need more space, right? And I think like what's cool about the Mini is that you have the stack right there. It's right next to where the ball is, and I don't know. I think like for a lot of golfers out there that can't afford a unit, that want to put together a simulator in their house, this is the best way of doing it, because it's like you don't need that much space. Enough space to put a golf club.
Yeah, and it's not it's not tiny, but it's pretty small, and you can throw it in your trunk if you're going to play around.
How tall is it?
It's probably, that's a good question. It's probably 16 inches tall.
15.75 height. So it's like a foot and a half. That's
pretty good estimate on my part. I'm not looking.
I know, right? You must have read the
schematic. Just my guess.
You're like, but yeah, it's 16 inches.
It's small enough that you can run it out to the range do your warm up, go put it back in your car or in your locker or wherever you're at. But you could also power a full simulator with that launch monitor. So plug it into a gaming PC and stream that to either a TV or a projector, and you have a full indoor or outdoor simulator running off of a launch monitor that can be also taken outside, which is for a lot of players, we were kind of chatting about this before. Everybody's setup is going to be different. I don't have 11-foot ceilings in my house to put in an overhead
I don't either.
and have a full simulator. So my option and my choice is going to be, I have a mini. I just ordered a new piece of really nice turf and a really nice net and a gaming laptop. And I can, in my backyard, have a full simulator with access to hundreds of courses with our third-party softwares and with our own software. And I can practice with feedback in my yard, or I can play a full simulator game of golf for fun in my yard. And, I'm lucky to live in Southern California. We get rain, once every blue moon. So you can play all the time. And the ability to do that day or night is a huge advantage for not only improving my game, but if you're in town, we'll go play whatever course we want in my yard and have a cocktail and have a great 2-hour round of golf.
I think it's smart. I think that price point is genius because I've had this conversation with a couple of your competitors, and it's like you have your in the launch monitor simulator space, you have the ones that are over 10,000. We're not even talking about that. Okay, so like anything less than 5 is affordable, right? I mean, I know everyone has. It depends on how much extra disposable income you have, but it's golf, and we all know how much money we spend on golf. So, I mean, you have the ones that are under $1,000, and they have their limited bit. They're great. They have a limited bit, limits. Then there's like a gap from like 1,000 to 2,000. There's nothing really in there. And then you have like the 2,000 to 5,000. And it's just at that point it comes down to like, can you take it to the range with you? Do you feel safe with it at the range? Is it only an indoor unit or is it an outdoor unit too? Because some people might be afraid to take it outside. Is it going to overheat in the sun, right, or something like that? And then I think the next biggest thing is like compatibility with like an iPad or a computer, right? And most things come with the computer, but I think like you got to be able to have an iPad app or something like that. Some kind of app, because no one wants to lug around a big old gaming computer to a driving range.
Yeah, so we do have an iPad app that has software we call View software that gives you all your data, a bunch of different views. You can do a downrange trajectory sideways. You can list all your data. Then you could look at like club optics and see impact location and the actual video of your club hitting the ball. And then to run a simulator, you do need a PC to run golf courses. But we have a product in our software suite called the Launcher, which is kind of a third-party connector. So once you have Launcher up and running, you don't need to open up 5 different programs to get to whatever golf course you want to play or whatever software you want to plug into. If you're a GS Pro user, for example, and they have, 700 something golf courses on there, you would just open up Launcher, select GS Pro, and it immediately starts and it's integrated with your launch monitor right in the screen. So I'd like to say we're easy to operate as a simulator because it's kind of a confusing category. Anytime you're talking tech and multiple programs, our goal is to try to
you don't get people lost. You don't want to drop,
make it easy,
right, or disconnect, or like that's the worst thing that can happen is like it drops, right? So it disconnects from the thing. Like everyone's gonna start bitching about it and be like, "This thing's not worth it." It's all about simplicity, right? Now, I don't know because I don't have the mini, but like, does it plug into like E6 or any other like what third party?
Pro,
all of it.
Yeah, it can run all of that. And again, it's once you download this launcher software, those others talk straight to that, so it's a seamless integration.
It uses the brain of the system, but it shows what's happening on that screen.
Correct. And then you can, we also have our own proprietary software, which is called Refine, which has driving ranges and some international courses. And then Refine Plus allows you to, 20 courses are on there and different practice scenarios. And then the ability to do reporting. So you could do what we call a Power U report from your practice sessions, and it will send you a report that shows you, through insights, kind of what you need to work on, any big glaring holes in your game. So there's really a game improvement kind of flavor to refine the software. Although you can also just go play beautiful golf courses. But if you're working on training, I'd work there. And if you're working on, I want to play, XYZ golf course for fun with my buddies, you can use a third party or play the refine courses.
So, okay, so the unit, we're talking about the mini today mainly because that's kind of like my space, right? So like with the mini, it's $4,500. And what do you get with the mini?
You get the View app for free. You get the mini. You get club stickers. There's an Ethernet cable. There's a carry case if you do want to hardwire it. The screen on the mini itself is super viewable in light. That's been a complaint in the tech market for a long time. As you take it outside and it's sunny
Like
out,
this with the sun, you're trying to look at it and be
you
like,
can't
what's
see
that?
anything. So it's super visible. And then you can purchase what we have a few different packages: a pro package, a champion package, or a legend package, which opens up different golf courses, different scenarios on the software side. So being newer to the company, just getting my gaming PC set up now. So I've been using Mini with the iPad app or just itself at the driving range, and reaping the benefits of all the feedback. Now the next level is, okay, now I get to go play a golf course, which is pretty exciting.
So I'm looking at the packages, right? So is it a one-time fee for the package or is it a yearly subscription?
With the Mini, it's a yearly. With the overhead units, it's a one-time purchase of the software package.
Oh, I see. I'm looking at the packages. So if you just bought the unit, it comes with the player package included, right? So that gives you the data points.
20 minutes after you bring it home.
Yeah, it's not like it's not like you spent $4,500 and I got to spend another $1,000 to use it.
No, you literally don't have to spend any more if you're going to use it with the View app or the launch monitor as an outside launch monitor for you. And that's a huge benefit. There's no activation and all these different things you need to do. You need to set it up once, which is plug it into your modem or a PC to get it to connect to Wi-Fi. And then the app itself, when you open it up, it automatically finds the Mini as a Wi-Fi beacon and connects to it immediately.
On the iPad or on the computer or both?
On the iPad. If you're at home and it's plugged in, it would be connected via your Ethernet cable, just for speed, and you're probably not lugging around your PC.
So, sorry, I'm asking a lot of technical questions. People always ask these questions though. So, like, all right, so you get the player package, you can use it right out the door, like no problem. And the iPad app works with it too. That's all included, so you don't have to pay a fee for that. But then if you want to, if you want to use a third party software, then you got to pay the pro package, which is $199 a year, which is like what, $15 a month or something. But you also get more stuff with that too. Like you get more profiles. What is Refine? Is the Refine software? Is there like two versions of the Refine software?
There's Refine and then there's Refine Plus. Yeah, and Plus adds golf courses and a few different driving range kind of views.
What does Refine give you? Does it give you like one driving range and one golf course?
Well, actually, we just updated it, and there'll be 3 or 4 different views. So whatever landscape you want to look at, really. Most of the time, the people I've seen using the View app, and they're just on the downrange view, or they're looking at data. So it's kind of that quick.
I don't care.
The Mini on itself, the display on the Mini itself is like instantaneous. So the minute you hit, boom, there's numbers right there. On the app, it's going to show you your trajectory and then your numbers.
And the data.
So
and that's on regular Refine. That's on the regular
That's
Refine,
on
right?
just the free View app. On regular on Refine, if you're using that software onto a PC, yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
instantaneous.
And then the Refine Plus just gives you more stuff, really?
Yep,
Like
more
more
things, more
more
views,
things.
more courses, more profiles, Power U report, things like that.
Why I these are dumb questions, but like so the Power You report is this like for example, if you pay for the champion package, you get 1,000 Power U reports. What is a
Yep.
Power U report?
It gives you insights into your game. So pulls out any anomalies, shows you kind of what you need to work on, focus areas, talks about, your gapping, your distance gapping. It gives you the ability to kind of learn more insights into
Learn
your
more about
game.
your game.
Yeah. And if you
So like if
have
you
multiple people using it, or you have two sets of clubs that you're testing versus one another, right? All these different scenarios that we as golfers are always doing. I changed my swing. Now I want to see if it's affected this or it's affected that. That kind of stuff would be accessible and viewable in the Power U.
so if you were a player like not really that good and you had just enough money to buy this, what would you get? Would you just buy the mini and one
I
of the
would do the
packages or
iMini
what?
for sure, and I'd probably start with the View app, and then if I realize that, hey, I want to use this at home too, and I want to have a net and some turf and work on my game at home, I would probably then, invest in the software so I could get a little more granular. But
Yeah, I would too.
Mini with the View app at its price point gives you unbelievable data and the ability to practice anywhere with feedback.
I mean, I think the pricing is on par. I mean, I'm no golf and pun intended. Like, I feel like okay, the first package is $199 a year. Like, that's not that much money. That's what you pay for like an iPad app. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not like that's a normal cost. Like, even I pay for the Garmin app. That's like $120 a year, right? And that only gives me like limited stuff. So I think it's priced right. To be quite honest, I think like most people, it's industry norm. You know what I mean? Like it's just you want more features, you pay more, for a little more money for it, but you don't need to. If you don't not going to use it, then don't get it.
Yeah,
Um,
and the good news is, we're open to feedback, right? Welcome feedback. So, we talk to our user base quite a bit. We talk to
yeah,
our resellers quite a bit. And if there are things that people want to see or people want included, or, the contrary, there's things that nobody's using, then we'll get rid of them or we'll adapt them. Having the power of our parent company behind us and the engineering prowess is a huge advantage for us to be able to do things like that, to take feedback and implement changes quickly. We
I think
think a
it's cool.
competitive
I
advantage.
think it's really cool. I love the units that are right next to you. Like I have all the ones that sit behind you, and it's fine. But I don't know. I think I like looking down at and seeing the data. Like I don't like always have to hit the ball and then look at the screen to see what it has. Like I like look down real quick and be like, oh okay, you what the data shows.
Yeah, everybody's
I like
got their
that.
own kind of, rhythm and cadence at the range. Some people hit it and they're raking a new ball to hit immediately, and then they watch the trajectory. Others hit and want to see it land, and then they bring a new ball in. So, we're trying to make the product adapt to you, not you have to adapt to the product, right? So it's instantaneous here, your trajectory display on the iPad app. So wherever you want to look, really.
The thing is too, just so you guys know, like the graphics on the Refine software, like this shit looks real. Like it doesn't look like all cheesy, like oh, it's like four trees out there. Like it looks like 4K real golf.
I'll tell you, Paul, a little foreshadowing. What we have coming makes you would think it's photorealistic what we have coming, and some of the new stuff that is graphically is insane. You would literally feel like you're on a golf course.
that's crazy. I mean, it's impressive. Because I think like what happens is a lot of brands will come up with a cool product, but like their basic software, I don't call it basic software, their included software, like it's kind of cheesy. Like they spend a lot of time, energy, money making the product, and I was like, oh, we gotta have a software to go with it, right? And then they like make the graphics like shit, and you're like, that's kind of lame, like seriously, that looks like Nintendo graphics. Um, but so when you see a company like the basic, not basic, the included software, it looks that good. You're like, holy crap! Like they're a software company too. They're not just like, oh, we're just gonna bolt on someone else's software and we'll just deal with it. Um, I think it looks great. So kudos to that.
Yeah, thank you.
So what? So when did the mini come out? Like just recently, right?
Yeah, it started shipping about a month and a half ago. It kind of soft launched, and then, kind of the week I started, it was like, boom, we're ready to go, and
You're like, oh
it
crap, I got a
went.
new product to sell, and my first week
Yeah.
here.
So playing a little bit of catch up in terms of messaging and everything, but it's out there. It's available now. We've been testing a
Bro,
ton.
I'm gonna be straight with you. Nobody launches that great. Like everyone wants to launch that great, but it's always like, I mean, I've seen this like 10 times this year where everyone's like, we're launching in 2 weeks. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Oh, can you make a
Yeah.
video before it launches? And I'm like, I don't even have the product. Okay, we'll send it to you. And then I get the product. I'm like, I don't even have the software code. I can't even get any stuff to work. Oh, last second. It's like, it's funny because everybody has like these dreams of like, it has a hard launch on July 15th or something, and it's like, not prepared, dude. It's like if somebody did that right one time, it would blow up. Just telling you.
You're right. You're right. And that's the goal. It's always the goal, right? And it was at every product we launched in
Of
the
course,
club
yeah.
business
I mean,
too.
I think it's any company, any industry. It doesn't matter. It's not just golf. I think like people. I mean, I heard about the mini at the PGA show, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, oh, like I went and saw like all the tech stuff come out. So like, and then I heard it launched, and I was like, oh, I want to know more about this thing because I feel like that's the future of golf, really. And I wish this stuff existed 20 years ago. And like my kids love going into the simulator and hitting balls all day long, no problem. Um, so I think it's a
Well,
great product. I mean, I don't have it
yeah,
yet, but I think it's very smart.
yeah, no, and we'll get you one to test for sure. I think the market or the market for simulators and launch monitors is growing tremendously, right? You're inside the industry, you know that last year more golfers played off course or at an entertainment venue than they did on course. First time in the history of golf. So, credit to the Top Golfs of the world and the Drive Shacks of the world who introduced golf to a whole bunch of new people, saying, yeah, it's not
And
always a
COVID.
6 hour. Yeah, right. It's not always a 6 hour commitment. It's not always driving somewhere or joining a club. You can go do this in a smaller amount of time. You can do it with friends and family for fun, or you can grind and really get good with great feedback. And price points, even for your full indoor solution. If you start weighing, what are my options here? I'm going to join a club down the street, and it may cost $40,000 right up front, and then it's $600 a month. And every time I go there, I have a couple beers, a sandwich, and I lose or win $20, right? So do the math. Or I put in maybe I do invest, ten to $12,000 and do an indoor solution if I have the room, and I can play golf 365. I can entertain family and friends. If you
All the
have
time. Like any
all
guy
the
comes over to
time,
their house, everybody wants to play in your simulator.
and if
Like,
you have kids that are competitive or kids friends who are competitive, like, hey, go practice. It's super fun to be able to practice and play Kiowa or Pebble Beach or all these different courses that you may or may not ever get a chance to experience, and you can literally experience them. And
so
we have a new cool product with IXO. We have what we call a trouble mat, which the goal is to make indoor golf as real as
real.
possible. So we have
Yeah.
these two mats that are, one simulates sand and one simulates rough, and
Shut up. Really?
that's
Oh,
not
wow.
groundbreaking in terms of different surfaces, but the textures that they used and what it does when you hit a shot, how much it slows your club head speed down, how much it affects the spin of the ball and everything, makes those
What?
trouble shots on a golf like extremely real in terms of ball flight and the outcome. So you're actually penalized if you hit it into a greenside, trap with
On the
a
sim.
5 foot lip. Even on your sim, you're going to have to swing hard and open the face, and it's going to come out probably with not a ton of spin, depending on your lie. And it really takes golf, kind of sim golf, to a new level.
That's amazing. I mean, I
Yeah, it's
saw
pretty
something
cool.
like that. Like Golf Zone had that like $100,000 simulator with the floor that moves, and
Yeah,
like the wall. I was like, my mind was blown. I had never seen anything like that before because everyone just throws carpet on the ground, like turf or
yeah.
whatever.
Not
But
a
you guys
huge
have that.
market for that,
No,
for that
I
price
mean,
point.
I'd be afraid it break too. What do you do if it breaks? All the moving pieces? Fuck that.
Yeah, I don't
Um,
know.
like I just think like the technology. I think the next 2 years you're gonna see like this is the year. Like I was telling Greg this earlier for the show. I'm like the Koreans are coming and they have the tech and they have the knowledge and they have the know-how and they have years and years and years of experience because this is huge in Korea. Like now this is gonna be like I feel like the renaissance of indoor golf like in the next 2 or 3 years. I really do because like last year, what was the only thing that came out last year? Like Bushnell's GC3, what do they call it? But it's GC3, and that's it. Nobody came out with anything new last year. And then the year before that was like Garmin R10, which blew up, and then the Rapsodo was like. So it's almost like all of a sudden you see all these new companies, all these new units. I'm excited. I think this is fun. Like this is the fun
It
stuff.
is. It is exciting, and I think, look, competition is great. I think what makes us stand apart from our competitive set, and it's in our name, right? We have a unique name. It's called Uneekor, and
I think it's
it
cool.
wasn't just let's make up a name. It was about staying uniquely core to engineering and uniquely core to golf. So that's where we live. We're not doing baseball. We're not doing soccer. We're not doing football. We are
Yeah,
a
you're not
golf
making like a simulator for
technology
a
company.
million bullshit things like, oh, it's for shooting and it's for golf and it's for soccer and it's like,
And there,
you're like,
look,
nah,
there's a
dude, that's not
market.
what we
There's a
do.
market for that if that's what you want it for. We are a golf company based in engineering, and we're going to stay core to that. And so that, I think that's an advantage for us. It allows us to be nimble, stay focused, and really take golfer feedback and build it into our products so that we're delivering, what people actually use.
I think it also opens up a new market for you guys too, because you're before were you're a simulator company before, and now you're like, no, we're a launch monitor company that also has simulator functions. So it sounds like you flipped it. A lot of people I think do it the other way first, right?
Yeah,
They
it's
make a
funny,
launch monitor, they make a simulator.
entering this segment of the golf business, and I've been in a few. The jargon's all different, right? Because what we make are overhead launch monitors, and now a portable launch monitor. And then we have simulation software. So people call it all different things. And again, like we were chatting before, my goal from a communication standpoint is to make a big decision where you're going to spend some good money towards a purchase. I want you to feel 100% confident that you're getting exactly what you need. So this is a setup that I'm going to use. This is everything I need. I got my checklist. Now I feel good about making this purchase. And then once I get it, I don't need a manual that's 400 pages thick to try to figure out how to use it. It wants to, I want you to plug this thing in, hook it to Wi-Fi, and boom, we're over at the driving range hitting shots in 5 minutes. Or we launch our launcher app and boom, pull in a software and we're playing golf in 5 minutes. So that's kind of the goal behind it, because I see it, and I think we all understand this is not a lay down purchase. It's an investment regardless
It's
of
an
your level,
investment. Yeah, exactly right.
and you want to feel good about your investment.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that Uneekor, based on what I've seen with your other product, I was blown away by it. So I'm only expecting that this is going to be something really cool because I was like, whoa, and that was a year ago. Um, and I think the price point's right. I think like you're in that sweet spot where it's like I think a lot of people are like, oh yeah, $1,000 unit, like is it really going to be that good? Because $1,000 is a pretty big swing for a lot of people too. And it's like, well, then what's the next setup? Oh, it's $2,000. Well, is that really that good? What's the next setup? Oh, 4 or 5. Okay, I think it's probably it's when you go car shopping, right? It's like you have 3 different models. Like this one has power steering, this one doesn't have power. It's like you. I think buyers are afraid to pay for the cheaper one because they think they're not gonna get their money's worth out of it.
Well,
And I
yeah,
think
I mean,
like
you make it, you're exactly, there's a fine line, right? At some point, it becomes so small that it becomes a toy. And at some point, it becomes so affordable that all these things that they're promising,
those
you're
won't work.
not confident that it's going to deliver all those
Or it's
things
accurate because at the end of the day,
at
you want
this price
accurate
point.
numbers, right? Because a lot of people will
100%.
comment on videos and be like, "Well, the spin data is shit," right? Like it's so great, but like the spin data is bad. And then it's like, okay, well that's true. Maybe the spin data is bad. So it's like you find that one thing. It's like, well, you spent $4,000, and it doesn't work. Then you're like,
Well,
it
yeah,
must
and
be
you
too
want,
much. But
consistency is as important as accurate. I won't say it's as important, but it's also a huge factor, right? You have to be accurate, but you also have to be consistent. And it's, your truth is whatever your truth is. If I were to go stand on a scale at my doctor's office and it says I weigh 5 pounds more than the one at my house,
I'd be
I don't,
pissed.
I would, and I am usually, but I don't doubt one of them. Like my scale at home is my truth.
That one's more accurate. Let's cheat. That's lower. You're like, oh, that's
Yeah, who
bullshit. That's not what I
knows?
weigh.
Who knows? So, we are absolutely focused on accuracy, but also consistency of those numbers. So if your driver is a 13-degree launch with 2,400 RPMs of spin and you hit it, depending on your ball speed, 265 on average, I
And you
want you
see
to
it.
to
Yeah.
hit it against, to hit it on a mini and see those same type of numbers. I don't want you to see a 295 all of a sudden and you go, yeah, that doesn't happen. Or I don't want you to see a 210 and say that doesn't happen based on these numbers. So
Or like some
once you
super high
establish,
RPM on the drive, and you're like, that is like that's literally impossible. That would never happen. Like it's
yeah, now
2,000
it is a
RPM on a drive.
technology, right? It is a
Yeah.
technology. So there is opportunity for you to miss a shot. But in total, we read the dimple
Yeah.
optics of the ball and measure how it's spinning and how it's leaving. And the kind of really smart guys at Uneekor who develop all the algorithms and optimize the images from our cameras, those are the people that impress me the most because they've taken an unbelievable mathematical equation and turned it into a visual ball flight that looks exactly how it does when I hit it. It's pretty amazing.
I don't know. I think like we were saying before, like technology is changing so much, and like industry is like. I had 5 iron golf last week on the show, and they had said that like I didn't know this. They said on the show like that Callaway owns like a percentage of 5 iron golf, and I was like, wait,
Yeah.
what? Like I didn't know that. So you see Callaway like already buying into like. You see big companies buying into the new technology so the masses can use it. Like it's the matter of time where it's going to be like, oh, this is normal, right? Like, oh yeah, like it's in not industry accepted, but it's almost like approved, I guess, a better way of saying it.
Oh yeah, for sure. And there are, I was using technology at Callaway in 1997, believe it or not. We had a camera system and we had to manually go in and tag the golf balls to measure the spin. So it was as
Really?
accurate as my clicks were, but it was proof that a camera is better than my eyes. And,
I 100% agree. I 100% agree. I love the camera, but do you have to have the dots on it? Is it
no,
or not?
no,
What does the dots do?
With our QED system, you have to use a marked golf ball because it sits behind you while you're hitting.
Oh,
So it
yeah,
needs to
yeah.
identify spin that way. With Mini IXO and IXO2, you can use whatever golf ball you want. And that's a big advantage too.
That's a
If
big
you're a
advantage too. That's a huge advantage.
premium urethane golf ball player, you want to know what spin is off that golf ball
On the ball you
versus
use
a
every single time. Yeah.
100%. So
I think a lot of
that's why I
people
say
complained about that lately. Like
yeah, and back in the
on
day,
the
you had to
Rapsodo,
use it.
people have been complaining about that. Like, oh, this I don't use a Callaway ball. Well, it's like, okay, well then you use an R10. It's like, well, I don't use an RPT ball by Titleist. I don't use a Titleist ball. I use a Vice ball. It's like, what does that
Yeah.
show? Like I think, and that's another thing too. You want to go spend more money and buy a super sleeve of balls or a box of balls that you'll never, like it's only made for that unit. I've bought them. I have the RPT balls. They're $70 a box.
Yeah.
Is it worth it? No. I mean, I did find one on a golf course once and I laughed my ass off. And I was like, who'd use an RPT ball on a golf course? That was a big
Yeah.
mistake.
No, but
But
that's a great point you bring up, right? You want to practice with the ball you use, and that's a big advantage to not having to have a marked golf ball or to mark the golf ball.
I don't know. I think, like I said, I think you guys You guys are doing it right. I'm excited. I can't wait to try it out. But like, I think it's this right. I feel like the price point between 3 and 5 grand is the sweet spot right now for a quality unit. And I think it just depends on who are you a fanboy of. Like, oh, I'm only a Skytrack guy. Okay, fine, whatever. Oh, I'm only a Bushnell guy. Okay, fine. But like, I think that price point and having the features you want that'll make you better, but also have the third party connectivity if you want to, if you like the way it looks or something, then that's cool. So I think, I don't know, I'm excited. I'm excited about this product.
Yeah, I like to think the people who are in the know are going to buy the Uneekor. Like, if you know, you know. It's quality. It's
Well,
great
yeah, I mean, I
value.
trust the GC3, right? Because the GC3 is like 5 grand, right? And like, it's been out for a while. I could never afford a GC quad, so it's like the GC3 is pretty damn accurate. Now, some people might complain about it. I think it's accurate. I've compared it to everything else. It works great, and it's a GC3. So it's like, and I like how it's right next to me. And then it's I think like I like having the unit right there where I can look down, and I trust the cameras. I just do, because the stuff behind you, there's about a million reasons why it's not going to work, right? Like, it bounces off the wall or who knows what.
Well,
So
at some point, there is a prediction, right? Or an educated guess that has to occur. So radar actually tracks the ball moving through the air, the flight of it, and then says if it flew like this, here's how it had to launch, right? So they're predicting, they're backing into the launch condition based on flight. We capture launch condition and predict flight, and really
I
confident in
believe
our
it. Yeah.
algorithms. I hit it. It's interesting. I hit the top tracer range is a pretty cool technology with cameras sitting up top. And I tested mini versus top tracer the other day, and our trajectories were like spot on. Now, our
Really?
launch condition was our launch condition, so I know that's accurate, but the shape of the shots, everything was it was cool to see running them side by side. So I totally believe people are going to compare to other products out there, and we welcome that comparison because we're really confident in our technology.
So I have a question from our listeners right now. He's in Wales and he's asking, when is the Mini coming to the UK? His
That's a
name is Dave
great
Perry.
question. We do have distribution into the UK, specifically with Mini. I may have to have you get back to Mr. Perry because I don't want to give him a false date. But yes, it will be available in the UK and hopefully very, very shortly.
So it's only launched in the US right now, right?
Yeah,
Or is
and
it in
I
Korea
just
right now too?
no, it's in Korea as well.
Yeah.
And it may be on its way to our distributor in the UK. I
Yeah.
don't have the
You don't
answer
know the
in
date.
front of
It's
me, so I don't
coming
want to.
though, right? It's coming.
Yes, for sure,
If it's not there now, it's coming soon.
for
Like,
sure.
um, well, I'm excited. I think the Mini, I don't know. I like Uneekor's units based on what I've used before in this my buddy's simulator, and like he swears by it. And I think the price point's right. I think it's cool. You guys have the tech. Like you have your own built-in tech, but then you can also go third-party integration. I think the GS Pro is really interesting too because, like right now, I know another brand's not using GS Pro. That's one of your competitors. So I think like people have their favorite sim software and they want to know, is it compatible right away? If it's not, I'm not gonna buy it, right? So
Yeah, for sure.
I think, and I also learned today that you guys own Even Roll, which blew my freaking mind because I didn't know that either. So it's
Could be a
crazy what you
whole
learn.
a whole nother a whole nother show on even roll, and we'll pull Garen Reif in here to
Would you?
talk
That'd be
because
sick, dude. I'd be so sick.
totally, he'd do it in a
Would you? Oh,
second.
see,
And
like, that'd be awesome.
the
I'm a huge fan.
technology,
Even Roll's
the tech,
legit. Like, I love
yeah.
putters.
I mean, he'll shoot me if I don't say nothing rolls like an even roll, but it's absolutely true. Nothing rolls like this putter,
I
and
I geek out on putters. I love putters. I love
me
putters.
too.
I
Me
think
too.
that like that's where you get good in golf. If you can putt and you'll make your putt, like you'll become a good golfer. Like you can be shit on the driver, could be shitty. It doesn't matter. If you get on the green and putt in one or two, don't matter.
Yeah,
But
a lot of the game is played there, and yeah, I have a virtual background on. But if I could show you the office here, you as a putter geek, you might fall over.
I geek
There's
out. I
lots of
geek
cool
out.
stuff here.
I
Lots
love
of cool
putters. I don't
stuff.
know why. I always love putters. I just don't know. I like geeking out on them, like using them. I like the new again now I'm using a lab putter, and like my friends all like, oh, what's up with that thing? And I'm like, this thing's a freaking dead accurate. Like the technology in putters, I don't know. I love putters. I've worked with all the putter
Well,
companies.
and how many putters do you have?
Like 6 or 7 probably.
Right.
I don't
I
know.
don't know any golfers who have one putter. And if you do, you
What
don't have
happens is
putters,
people
because they're
take my
probably
putters.
great.
My friends come over and they go, "Oh, what's this?" And then I don't get it back. It happens all the time. I've lost so many putters. I have to go back to my brands and be like, "Hey, can you send me another blah 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 putter?" I'm like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Because my friend took it and he won't give it back." I'm like, "Oh yeah, sure, whatever."
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be truthful too. My dad wants to borrow a putter, and he's like, "Oh, what putter is this?" And then I don't get it back. Um, I don't know. I think that's cool. This is a funny thing. Greg and I were talking before the show, and Greg's like, "Oh, we've talked before." I'm like, "We have?" And he's like, "Yeah, man. Remember like a year ago, I was with Blast Motion." I'm like, "Oh my god, you were! I forgot." But see, this is the Greg and I were just talking about this too. Is like how small the golf industry really is. It's super small, which I didn't know that when I started. So
If you've been in the golf industry for a long time, there's not a whole lot of people you haven't at least crossed paths with a few times, whether it's
you know what's so
PGA
funny?
show or email chains or at the course.
I was at the PGA show and I was in the hall, there's always hallways everywhere, right? Between the showroom. And I was talking to one guy, and then this guy stops and grabs me and turn around. It's like a CEO of a company. He's like, "Oh, I heard your voice and I knew it was you." And I was like, "What the hell, dude? Like, seriously? Like, that was 2 years ago, you know?" And he's like, "Oh, yeah." I'm like, You're presenting?" And like, "No, not really. First here, look around." It's a big company. I was like, "That's crazy." Um, I don't know. Golf industry is fun. I'll tell you guys, golf industry is fun. People are cool. It's golf, you guys, and tech is cool too. So, Greg, where can people get the Mini before we go?
So you can buy it directly from us on our site. We have resellers out in the marketplace. And depending on what you're looking to do, if you're just looking for a launch monitor, you can purchase that from resellers or us. If you're looking to build a kit or buy a kit, we have prepackaged full kits available. Or if you're looking to kind of DIY one, we can certainly provide you with direction on what we think would be a good setup based on your need, whether it's indoor, outdoor, net based, screen based, projector, TV. There's the beauty of it is there's a lot of options, a lot of ways to do this.
And I think it's a good idea too. Or like, I think a lot of these brands are. Some people don't want to piecemeal a DIY set. Like, they just want to buy the stuff and put it together and make sure it all works. So I think
Yeah.
it's kind of cool that you guys have that availability too. Um, Well, thank you for being on the show. I really appreciate it. You guys have to check out the new iMini. Like I said, it came out like 3 weeks ago, so it's like
Yeah.
just launching. And if you haven't tried out Uneekor, they're different, like in a cool way. And I really appreciate you being on the show today. And I'll see you guys in the next episode.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.